Let's go ahead and get started. So welcome to class. It's Saturday. It is 12:07 Eastern time. We're going to be covering setting up your watch list. There's different ways you can do it. I'm trying to keep it not too deep in detail, but basically just going over some ways you can use different screeners and scanners to figure out what stocks you might want to look at, whether you're day trading and looking for setups for the next day, or if you're swing trading. This is what I used to do since a Saturday actually works out, and you're trying to find something to be good for the upcoming week. So we're going to start off with Finviz. Finviz is free to use. They do have a premium version that comes with a bunch of extras, but I think the free version does get the job done pretty well. Okay, I'm not going to do a full run through of the site, but I'm just going to go straight to the key points that I think you will use if you are trying to use this to set up your watch list. So what you do is come over to the screener section, and I already clicked on my accident. I do have a bunch of screeners already set from myself, so I'm just going to go ahead and pick one that should be pretty simple and straightforward. And this is my major oversold screener. Okay, so I'm walking through what this is. Nothing came up, which is fine. Let's see if we up that to 40. Can we get something? Cool. All right. So what the screener basically is I'm gonna pull up on all. I have it set to show me stocks that are over $15 that are oversold, which means for the RSI 14 period that they are at or below 40 on the RSI. So they're oversold, but not typically. Typically on the RSI, you're looking at oversold as being 30 or 20. So far as to just look at for 10 sometimes. But intents and purposes is something that is oversold and not oversold. It does have options, and these are stocks that are US stocks, okay? 200-day moving average is set to show me stocks that are above the 200-day moving average. The reason I want that, because that's gonna help me see that this stock isn't in a downtrend overall long term, right? So if it's already in a downtrend, I'm not looking to buy it because I wanna go in the direction of the trend and buy on the pullbacks of the trend. And you'll be able to see that in the price data. And then I have overall average volume of over 500,000 shares traded. And that's just gonna give me extra liquidity when I'm trading these. If I do choose to trade them, when I'm trading options, I assume I have more liquidity, center day average over 500,000. And then if you're selling shares or trading and buying and selling shares, you have some extra volume and liquidity there too. So when you look at the chart, you can kind of see that these two specifically kind of already on the chart as well as the price, all right? So you see this 200-day moving average was this line right here. It's kind of a darker tone at the bottom. But across these stocks overall, we don't see anything that's in a major downtrend, all right? We see some uptrend here. We see an uptrend that's kind of starting to break down here. So overall, this is the type of thing I would be looking for. Keep in mind, we are in a bear market, right? So that's separate from the fact that we're making a watch list, but you still want to look at the overall direction of the market and know that it's going to be a little harder to trade stocks that you think are going to go up when the overall market's going down. Not to say that everything isn't going to go up sometimes, but you do want to trade an overall trend, all right? So if I'm looking at setting up a watch list and I'm using this particular scanner, something I might do is use that screener like I just showed you, and I can look at ABBV, all right? So if I was setting this up and I'm like, okay, I want to make a potential swing trade on this, one of the things I might notice is that there's this trend line resistance here, and it does automatically plot, which is why you can kind of use Finviz to help learn too, especially if you're a beginner. Finviz can help you learn. It's not better. I prefer to do my own technical analysis, so I'll look at theirs and still set my own. But we do see that there is, look at me trying to think I had the fancy touch. All right, let me pull that back up. All right, so we do see that there was a zone right here where you have support, right? So we see the bounces here. We see it starts off right here, or even at this level around 140, right? 141, 140. So we see that. We see another candle that came down and supported it there. And we see it got supported there again. The reason I wouldn't look to take this long is just because we're continuing to make lower highs. So we're actually starting to flip trend here. We're not moving back up, but assuming this wasn't going down and we saw this is a solid level of support, that could be a potential trade that I will watch for, and I'll just watch for a move back up. So I would say maybe even looking at a new high, and I could trade it back up to this level possibly. But that's if we had a clear support and resistance on this that was horizontal. So this one you could, if you're trading puts, you could trade the breakdown below this support level. So we do see again this support level right here around 140.50, and you could trade on the put side a breakdown to this next support, which would be around 133.25 if we're looking at the daily support. All right, so again, why would I put this on a watch list for puts? You see support here, very clear support. So price clearly bounces off of this level as it's done in the past about 2 to 3 times, right? If it breaks down below this low, and we're making a lower low, now I'm looking for a close. I don't want to get stopped. I don't want to get bought in on a wick on the downside and then get stopped out, or bought in when it's flipping back up. But if I start to see that we're near the end of the day and we're about to close below this level, I'm like, okay, that support is broke. All right, so now I can go ahead and take a look at having those puts going down and testing this new support at 133.25. And then you can go even further down to about 130, where you see this wick. All right. In the chat, give me a Y if that makes sense. That would be a yes in the chat. If it doesn't make sense, give me an N, please. I do see that question, D. Paramore.
Be quiet.
Dang. She said be quiet, but she was on mute. Sorry. So go ahead, just let me know. Like I said, I want to just confirm that y'all are understanding before I continue to move on. So someone up in the chat, you stated that Finviz provides technical analysis, but I like to do my own. How accurate is theirs compared to mine? Everybody makes their own levels kind of differently, and everybody sees different things on the chart. Whether you're trading just off of candlesticks, whether you're trading support and resistance, whether you're trading however you trade. I mean, because at the end of the day, you are connecting price levels, but there is still some different viewpoints on how people set their things up. I think their technical analysis that's automated is very good because it connects the levels, and I can't tell if it's not connecting the bottom of these wicks or these wicks, so I don't know why those wicks weren't laid out. But it's kind of like anything else that's done by AI. You still want to have a human come in and kind of look for any nuances. So I would say, it's, again, as a beginner, using Finviz to help you learn some sort of technical analysis isn't a bad way to see it actively applied on a chart. And you can put it across multiple charts every day. We got a lot of Y's in here, so people are understanding. Can I scroll back to my filter real quick? Yeah, I'll set it up. So let me go back to the screener, and I'll show you that that scan one more time before we move on. And that's my major oversold. And so when you set up a Finviz account, you can save these scanners in there so that you can always pop back in them. And I just changed it up to oversold 40. All right. Cool. So you see all the different things I have for this particular scanner. And this is a scanner I use usually when the market's in an uptrend. If I'm feeling like swing trading something or looking for a potential swing idea, this is like a simple scanner I can use to go find a stock that's overall in an uptrend, but is on a bit of a pullback. And I can find a favorable risk to reward trade. So if you need to screenshot that, you want to write down what that these specific criteria that I have on here are, you can. It's price above the 200-day moving average, average volume over 500,000, price above $15. I prefer the RSI to be oversold with 30, but I'm showing 40 just for the sake of having the charts pulled up for this. And since I trade off.
Hey Jourdan, do you have to pay for this?
Finviz this is free, bro. Finviz has a premium version where you can do a bunch of extra things with it. But to access this right here that we're looking at, it's completely free. Yes, sir. So there's no reason why you can't go and use this resource. Completely free. Thanks for sorry. I see that in the chat now. Thanks for jumping in. All right. So that's Finviz. I recommend it. All these sites I'm about to show y'all, I recommend just hopping on them and kind of playing around with them. And then of course, custom tailoring them to what you like. All right. And when you start getting deeper into your research and your learning, right? Google stuff like this. Google swing trade Finviz criteria, right? Y'all got to start digging deep and saying, okay, well, let me see what else I can do. Let me see how I can find other stuff. So then you'll see different people posting on Twitter, posting on Reddit, and different platforms, their own criteria. And then you can start looking at those and you can kind of paper trade them. You can't really back test them unless you buy the upgraded version, but you can definitely paper trade them and say, okay, Jourdan has these stocks pulled up for this scanner. Let me come revisit these 4 stocks right here in a week and see how they've done compared to where they are today, right? And after that, you can start kind of generating an idea of what could potentially be a profitable scanner, right? We come back and we see that 3 of these were successful trades after a week and 1 of them wasn't. That's pretty cool, right? And so you just come back every day, refresh it, see what you get. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and move on. No more questions in the chat regarding Finviz. All right, so there's another site called Chartmill. Chartmill is free as well. They have some sort of system where you earn like energy or members. I have credits. I have 50,000 credits somehow. I don't know. But I think once you just sign up for a free version, you get additional credits. So it's free. And Chartmill has a lot of different functionalities. So they have stock screeners that are preset. They also have trade ideas that are already set up. Now, this is dope. I didn't even know this was there. This might be a new thing. But you can actually filter these. So they have scanners already set, right? Bull flags, momentum squeeze plays, technical breakouts, strong growth technicals, momentum movers, right? So they have stuff already set up. And you can come in. It looks like you can do a bunch of different stuff. So hop on this site and try this stuff out. So if I'm looking for swing trades based on mean reversion, right? And that means that I'm expecting the stock to kind of come back to a middle ground or come back to like an average area, then I could pull up this one, Bollinger Band swing trade strategy. Let me see what comes up. So this is where it's actually breaking down. It shows 0 results right here. So nothing came up for this one. This is where it's breaking down what those criteria are. And so when you're doing your scans, you can come in and you can set up your own criteria. Right? And then you can see different stocks come up. I'm not sure why they're not. I don't know if y'all can see. Okay, there we go. So maybe I got to go in and say, but it will pull up different stocks based on what you put. So you can see certain things regarding, if you're looking in the past, you can go in and adjust it. Price, average volume, market cap, industry. You can choose different things based on their performance, how they're comparing with their moving averages, monthly performance. You can use different indicators and say, well, I want the RSI to be falling. I want it to be above a certain level, below a certain level. So it's tons of different stuff. Kind of similar to Finviz in a way, as it is a screener that has a lot of detail to it, right? But you can choose things like this. You can even have the MACD, right? So again, this is another one to go in. But the whole concept behind using these sites is figuring out first logically what you're looking for, right? So if you're a breakout trader or you want to see breakout setups, then you're looking for stuff that's making new highs, or you're looking for stocks that are at resistance, all right? If you're trying to catch something that's had a sell-off, then you're going to put that in the actual scanner. So if you're looking for something that's a sell-off, maybe you could say on a performance side, and this is me live, I don't use, because I day trade, I don't really use swing trading, stuff like that anymore. But if you're trying to find something that's had a sell-off, then maybe we say we want monthly performance that's down 6% at least, but no more than 23%. right? And so it's going to pull us some stocks that fit this criteria. You know, and it's going to be above the 200-day moving average, but for the last month, it's down at least 6%. And so that means that we're going to see, and maybe that's starting here or so or over here, but that's going to show us that we have some bit of a pullback here that we can maybe make a trade off of, right? So that's that concept. You want to take the concept and then apply it through the different filters and scanners you have. All right, and this is another site again. Chartmill doesn't cost. I don't think I've ever paid for it, but I'm not too familiar with their layout. I don't use it often at all, but I used it in the past sometimes. So first thing, if you're newer, beginner trader, I would say come to the trade ideas section. And then also, yeah, I think the trade ideas section is the main part. And there's one more where I would say just look at the scanners they already have set up. And then you can start to see, you know, what you think of them and if you can tweak some of them or anything of that nature. So we're going to pop back here one more time. If this was confusing, put an N in the chat. If this made sense, put a yes. If you have a question about this, put the question in the chat so we can make sure everything is covered before moving on. And you don't have to use all of these, but I wanted to show y'all different options. I want to show y'all different options of websites y'all could use so that y'all could have your own thing, right? Because there's so many different options out there. Finviz is great. Chartmill is great. The next site I'm gonna show you is great, but they all kind of have their own style or their own person who might benefit from it more, or you might understand a certain website more than another website. You might want some scanners that are already preset. So you can already pull up bull flags, squeeze plays, breakout setups, momentum setups, stocks strong and near highs, right? Chartmill is good for that. I don't know if Finviz has some preset scanners like that where they do, but not like this, not like this. I think theirs is mainly technical based and it's just, you know, finding, I'm gonna show y'all that. I'm sorry, I gotta show y'all that. Go back. So another thing y'all can do with Finviz that's pretty cool when it comes to their TA that somebody was asking about is you can actually scan for certain patterns. And this is where it kind of comes down to that thing of, you know, your technical analysis. So a lot of times theirs is kind of already late. For example, this head and shoulders that is calling out, all right, this is the head, left shoulder, right shoulder. All right, that head and shoulders move already happened. It already broke down. There's nothing there, right? This one, if you're taking head, shoulder, shoulder, this one is something that is still in effect, right? If you're going to use this for that purpose. And you can't actually see, this was the previous resistance level. It's testing it against resistance. And then we have support levels down low. So this would be another chart that you could, I've never heard of the stock and don't know if you have to trade options on it, but assuming this was Apple or something with the same technical setup, same price action, this could be something else that you're looking to swing puts on if it continues to make this move down back to this support, right? And I would look for puts if we break this low, because that's going to signify to me breaking close below this low. It's going to signify to me that we are actually making this move down. I did want to show you that. So you can come in and saw Finviz and you can sort those for double top patterns, triple tops, head and shoulders, wedges, and things of that nature.
Jourdan, somebody asked in the chat if you can go over chart mills and go over, I think they said day trading setups or settings.
Got you. Thanks, bro. And I'm just popped in the chat again. So yeah, stock charts is somebody's go-to. Finviz, yeah, and they knew about Finviz, but never about Chartmill. Thank you. No, you're welcome. So when it comes to day trading, I'm gonna show y'all the one that I've never used Chartmill for day trading. I never used Finviz for day trading specifically. I think they're a lot stronger from what I've personally used them for. I think they're a lot stronger for swing trading setups. But that's just because Finviz, for example, you can only do intraday. You can only look at intraday patterns and things on a premium version. I never bought Finviz. The chart mill, the same kind of thing that we were just looking at is you can go on Chartville and choose to see what they have for day trading. All right, so you can go in here and you can look at, if we want to look for a long day trade setups. Yeah, let's see what we get. All right. I don't know if this updated or not. Yeah, it looks like it did. So you could, for example, look at a momentum squeeze play. So we'll pull that up. And so this should show us the stocks that have been consolidating, but are looking like they might have potential to go ahead and break out fairly soon. So let's see. And again, I've never used this for this specific purpose, but I think we could figure it out here really quick. So let's take this one for example. And this is, I'm gonna use this as an example, but I'm gonna just say what I just saw on it was different than Chartmill's actual setup. What I'm looking at is this inside candle off of this big breakout candle right here. So all I'm really looking at was this inside candle here. And so over a break of this high, you can look at day trading it. So I think day trading will probably be easier if you're just going off candlestick patterns, more than these screeners that are going off of momentum setups and things of that nature. So that's what I'm gonna get into with this next part, is setting up your own specific criteria for your trades and for your scanners. So looks like everybody is good on Chartmill. Again, when I did use it often, it was more so for swing trading. But like we just saw, when you come on the Chartmill, go to trade ideas, they do have a day trading time frame that you can click on, and then you can go through the scanner. So I encourage you to go through the scanners and see what looks like something that you could use real life, right? Don't just sit on the Zoom and take it, but dive deeper, right? So Profits Pie, y'all hear me talk about this all the time. I use the site for a ton of back tests, but they also have good screening. And they have what I really like about the site, and this site, they have a free version, but the free version is only going to give you 2 weeks old price data. So I do keep a paid membership to this, and it might be like $10 a month, $20 a month, something like that. But what I like about it a lot is they have some educational resources too. All right, so if you click on the pattern library on Profits Pie, all right, and here in profitspie.com, come over here, pattern library, they actually break down all these different candlestick patterns, what they mean, the actual math or the equation behind how you get them, right? And then you could indeed scan for those. So I really like that. I think anybody who's a beginner trader and is sometimes in the chat saying, dang, bro, y'all are using these trading words, I don't know what y'all are talking about. Pop on here and look at this, right? Understand the bearish engulfing and what it means. Understand, all of these, right? Just figure these out, learn these, and then when you see somebody talking about them, you'll know what it is, but you'll also be able to start seeing them on your chart yourself and be able to identify entries and exits based off these patterns. So yesterday we finished bearish. So I'm gonna go ahead and just click that. So what I just did was pull up some of these different stocks or equities that had bearish engulfing candles yesterday. All right, and this is all gonna be based on criteria. So you can see very clearly, like this one, for example, on the top left, that this candle right here was a bearish candle that fully engulfed the previous day's candle. All right, and they have different kind of degrees. So this one, I don't know why this one popped up, but that might be because of the math that they have put on here, where they don't have it to show that the candle has to fully engulf it. So you can come in here and you can change that. But we're looking at real body greater than previous day, open greater than close. So Profits Pie does get a little beat, but I want the low to be less than, not the close. I want the low to be less than the low of yesterday. I probably have to do like a real specific Profit Spot class to get real deep into it. But now that should have removed that and only show us stocks that had that low below the previous day low. So you see how I did that? So Profit Spot, you come on here, you can look at that and you use those presets that are going to give you those candlestick patterns. And this is where, for somebody who's asking about using these screeners for day trading, you could come in, see this one, I would go in and set the high, right? So I see this right here, ALTG. To me, I'm not considering that bearish engulfing because this candle is higher than that, right? That previous candle is outside of that. So I'm gonna come in, set a high price of today. You can even do like that. It's the highest in one bar. That should actually cover it. Nope. All right, we'll figure that out another time. So, point of the story is you come in here and you can go ahead and fool around with these. Look at those different patterns. You can come and set your own patterns, right? So I have my own bearish engulfing. I think I had the same kind of thing. So I don't know why that's coming up. If this high is higher than the previous high, I'm not sure why that's coming up. And I really want to change that while we're on here. All right, cool. No more ALTG. All right, so now we have what I would consider to be pretty much a full bearish engulfing breakdown. But you can come in here, create new patterns, and then you customize your criteria. So if you're somebody who's trying to play around or look at with moving averages, for example, and you come in and you can say you want to find stocks where the 50 moving average crossed above the, it could be the 200 within the last 5 bars, right? And you can run that. Put the charts up, right? And it'll show you where that cross happened, and you can look at what happened after that. If you're trying to day trade, and maybe you're trying to day trade, again, off of a moving average cross, and this is just a simple example, you have to really start getting deep in your bag with this site in particular, because it has so much for you to use. You have to figure out how you want to use it. But on a smaller time frame, you could say, maybe I want to look for stocks where the 5-day crossed over the 10, right? And we'll apply that. And so that's just going to show those different stocks where that happened. What I want to do just to make this easier. So this is what you have to do with Profit Spot, right? Because it has, again, so many options for things that you can use. You can use that criteria as much as you want. Let's go ahead and do, let's just do 100,000. So you can get some of those random stocks out there. All right. So this is how you will use it. And then again, you can come, you can set up your own patterns. You can set up your own watch list, right, where I have different watch lists composed of different stocks. So these are my stocks that have, weekly options. And so if I'm running a scanner, what I could do is come over here and I say, okay, I want to find, I can even do patterns. But this is my hammer option setup, right? So I could say I want to run something like this, and I want to run it across my weekly options scanner. So this is what it pulled for me. So I go back to patterns, and I want to pull bearish engulfing. I got nothing. Let's see, inside days. Cool. So it's going to show me inside days, and this is my criteria for inside day based on how I set it up with the ATR of above 2. But this is going to show me inside day patterns. So now if you're used to trading candlestick patterns and you want to trade inside day patterns, cool. I know NVIDIA had an inside day on Friday. And so now I know if I'm setting up a watch list to come on Monday, if I'm trading inside day patterns, I got NVIDIA to watch. The Qs, SPY, Microsoft. And so of course, if you see Q, SPY, Microsoft, you can assume it's a lot more that formed inside days. But that's as simple we can set it up. So to take this to another level, if you're somebody who's trading candlesticks like the Strat, then you can come in and set up a bunch of different Strat candlestick setups, and you could trade those, right? So this is how I use Profit Spy if I'm going to be setting up a watch list for tomorrow. Again, prime example, I come in, this is my inside day setup, which is just saying that the high of today, or that whatever date you have in here, all right, when breaking it down in literal sense, the high of this day's candle was less than the high of the previous day, and the low was greater than the previous low, which is going to form an inside day candle. And I'm looking at stocks that are over 30. Average true range for a 14 period is greater than 2. And these are all stocks that are on my weekly options watch list. And so I come in here and say, hey, y'all, I'm looking at NVIDIA. I'm going to trade it for puts below 180, say 180. You see the open high, low, and close right here. And it's also going to show you that data for the candle. So below 181, I might go for puts, and above 197, because this is the high, was 196 for this candle, I might go for calls, right? Boom. But that's literally how I could put a watch list out. And this is how you start leveraging different websites, different software, to where you don't have to go through and flip through your charts, which I do sometimes as well. But if you were going to make a watch list, you could just use something as simple as this. All right. So let me know. And this Profit Spy is a little more advanced, again, because they have so many different criteria. But don't think about it as it's super hard or complex. The majority of y'all understand what a close price is, right? You understand what the open price of a stock was, the high price, the low price, right? So even if you wanted to set up an inside day scan, all you need to know is high and low, right? So put a Y in the chat if this makes sense. Put an N in the chat if you're confused. And if you are confused, follow that in with the question so I can dive a little bit deeper and hopefully get some more clarity on what you're confused about. But that's just a simple way to go and look at this. See what we get. I'm gonna go ahead and look through the chat real quick. All the understanding, I love it, I love it. This is gonna be recorded, of course. We have tons of education in the Discord. Even though the Discord signals are closed to paid members only, the education section is open completely free. So you can come in, you can look at all the videos we post, all the trainings we record. There's no problem there. I'm not seeing any questions about what I just showed. If I have no questions, I'll move on. About 10 seconds. All right, cool. Everybody's good. All right, moving on. So these are all scanners, screeners that you can use for setting up your watch list. And you could stop there. There are tons of other sites you can use. These are just 3 that I've used. So I want to share them with you so that you can have them in your tool belt as well. Again, I recommend going through each of these, playing around with them, looking at the filters, looking at the settings, seeing what you can figure out. And then again, take it a step further and then Google and see what other settings people have used, what other settings people have used for Chartmill. Go on YouTube and look up swing trade settings for Chartmill, best Chartmill day trade scanners. Like, get in your bag with this stuff. It's too much opportunity, too much money out there to just, get off this Zoom and be like, okay, cool. All right. So please go deeper. I want y'all to eat. It's Profit Spy free. So they do have paid plans to get data that's up to date. It does cost. And I think if I sign out, we can look at the pricing real quick. So, okay, so this is the one that looks like I have, maybe. Oh no, I'm not logged in, so it wouldn't show what I have. But for the screening, I think this is the one I'm on now. For the screening, it's $10 a month. All right, and that's gonna give you up-to-date screening where you can create and save those scans. You can look at charts, you can look at patterns and create watch lists. But when you're back testing, because I always talk about back testing, that one that's gonna give you 15 years of back testing data is $70 a month. And what I did was I just bought it 1 month back in 2018. I just bought it for 1 month and I ran like 400 tests in that 1 month. So there's no limit to how many tests you can run on this. It might be, I think there is a limit, but you just delete some of them that weren't successful tests, and then you have those spaces back available again. Thank you. You're welcome. All right. Let's look at bar chart. And bar chart has a ton of things on it. So this isn't a bar chart walkthrough. But what I did want to show you in particular was after you've looked at these different things and you've maybe found a couple of options that you want to look at, what you can do on bar chart, and bar chart is free. They do have a premier or a premium plan, but you can get a lot of stuff done on the free version of bar chart. I think I upgraded one time just to see the difference, and it wasn't that big of a difference to me to make me want to keep on paying it. So out of all the things I just showed you, Profits Pie bar chart, and then Finviz, the only one I actively pay for monthly is Profits Pie. And I only use that to create watch lists when I do create a watch list. So what I wanted to show specifically was, let's just say that we ran something and we got, let's say we got Ford, right? When we were looking through the screeners, we saw Ford had a nice setup. Maybe it was a bullish setup we saw on Ford. So when you're looking at unusual options activity, you can actually start here. And then I would say you can go look at these charts and see what strikes, what expirations had a crazy amount of volume compared to the open interest from the beginning. So right here, we're seeing that over 60,000 contracts were traded on CHPT. And originally it had an open interest of 563. Right. So that's showing me that with this crazy amount, there was probably a lot of call buying at this 22 strike with the expiration of the 19th of August, if that's the 8th month. So what you can do with this is actually go ahead and look at the chart. You can pull up the chart and then go see if you think that makes sense. Screw it, we on live, let's do it. So if that's saying that CHPT is getting a bunch of call volume for about a month or 2 months out, charge point, I think that has to do with EV, if I'm not mistaken. All right, so what do we see here? If we're looking at just the technical side of things, we're seeing that it is in this downward channel. All right, so this is where Finviz's AI technical analysis comes into handy. So we do see a downward channel. We see the clear trend line up here, and we see that it's bouncing back up, broke through this support that turned resistance. And so it could actually make this move back up to 18, right? That would fall right in line with technical analysis for this chart. So I think there's nothing wrong with looking at that high volume of calls and then looking at the chart and seeing that it's a strong chart. Keep in mind, it finished up 4.82% yesterday. And how did the rest of the market do? All right, let's go ahead and pop back over here. So this stock finished up almost 5% yesterday. And look at how the rest of the market did. So everything else is dropping and money is moving into that stock. All right, so that's just giving me a little more bias to say, hey, that might be a decent idea. The chart looks like it can make a move back up a couple percent. We're seeing high volume of calls being bought. So options is showing money is flowing into options for calls. And then when I go look at it compared to the rest of the market, it outperformed, right? So that's just another way you can look at some things and start to kind of stack the things that you're looking at to where you're going from, it has some call volume to, the technicals looked all right for price action. Right, you start combining those things. It outperformed, and the technicals look like, or the price action looks like it's going to make a move back up or continue to move back up, and there's some heavy call buying going on. Might be some interest there, right? So you could do that. The other thing you can look at that I like to look at a couple times is if I am looking at trading a specific stock, and let's just say it was Ford. So if I run a scanner for a swing trade, not really for day trading here, but for a swing trade, if I ran a scanner and I came up with looking at Ford for potential buy, what I could do is close that out. What you could do is come in, that should pull up options for Ford. And again, I encourage you to all just kind of hop on this site and click around. But let's just look at the next monthly strike. So I see a lot of open interest to the call side here, and I'm looking at different strikes. So if I want to go forward, I see there's currently 42,000 contracts in open interest on the 15 strike. That's 14 days out. So if I was gonna go forward, I might go with the 15 or the 14, right? And of course, when you're choosing strikes, you can get deeper into Greeks and all of that. But just as an easy way to identify where are other contracts being held. Oh, so there's 50,000 contracts that are currently open on a 14 strike. All right, I don't mind being one of those 50,000 contracts, however many contracts you anticipate buying. But you can also come in, ooh. You can also come and compare it to the put side, and it's a crap ton of puts being held too. And so now when you're comparing these two, and this is why having extra information can help, now I'm like, I don't know, right? And so keep in mind, we didn't look at the forward chart, but just comparing these two, and I'm looking at this, and I'm saying that puts, it's very close, right? So we see the total open interest for this is 600,000, you know this number, 634,000 versus 572,000. It's very close. And then when you look at the volume for the last trading session, which was yesterday, 51,000 puts were traded yesterday on forward. Now, that's something where I'm going to look at and say, okay, maybe I'm not going to hop on this one, but you could go ahead and look at other stocks. And then you can see, if you're looking at PayPal, if you're looking at AMD, if we go look at ChargePoint, because why not? We live. Let me remember this is a class and not like a live trade session or something. But if we go look at ChargePoint, we're looking at the monthly expiration. Let's compare those two. Sheesh. Puts being held. Wow. So there's some heavy puts on here too. But if we're looking at just these with the monthly expiration, it looks that's where it is.
Yeah, all the big stuff is gone.
Glad to hear it, bro. So what you're looking at is all of these puts looks like it's really being held on this 10 strike, all right? So just my thinking could be that could be a potential hedge against some different calls that are spread out. And we saw that there was a bunch of calls for further out. So if you're looking at, and again, I try to look at things logically. If I see a bunch of puts being held shorter term, but I see a bunch of calls being held longer term, I'm thinking hedge, but then I'm also thinking hedge because we could see a move back down. They sell those puts off, and then there's a move back up to continue the that trend that we looked at earlier. So bar charts, again, a site you can dive real deep into it. Yes, open interest also includes sellers of options, correct? Does anyone have a broken in mind for beginners? Webull. And that's why we're looking at vol versus open. But typically what you're going to see is when you see, like we saw with ChargePoint, that's why I say typically, when we saw that unusual options activity, when you have that high up, I can't pull that up on Premium. When you have that high of a disparity between the volume traded that day and the open interest, then typically you're looking at buys coming in. But it's important that you're keeping in mind that the volume is going to include both buying and selling, right? And so you're not going to be tracking when those sell orders come in if you're using a free site like this. So if you do go upgrade to this site, if you go and upgrade on Flow Algo or Cheddar Flow or whatever other flow websites there are that show you options flow, you'll see the buys and the sales coming through simultaneously as they get put in and executed. You can use bar charts instead of an option flow platform. So that's what I was showing you, bro. And if y'all got questions, put them in the chat. If that was confusing, drop an N. If that was not confusing and you get it, drop a Y. But can you use bar chart instead of another flow? Yeah. So that's the thing I'm saying is for the best stuff, typically you're going to have to pay, right? It's just like anything else. You know, if you want a better quality car, you're probably going to pay a little more. If you want a better quality, whatever, typically you're going to be paying more, right? But you can still have some of the same functionality. You're just going to take the time to sort the information. So if you go to options and they have all these different things there, right? This one is going to show us changes in open interest. So this is like a simple way of thinking about the premium version or different sites versus this one on the free side is. Where we at? Oh, that's JJ. All right. So what might just be like one of the main different things is that you could actually filter out easier stuff on different sites, right? So if I wanted to just look at changes in open interest across Snapchat, and maybe if I had the premium version on this site or if there's another site, I'd be able to go ahead and filter it out. Okay. So that's that. All right. And that's going over those screeners, those scanners. If y'all got any questions, put them in the chat. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for learning. Thank you all for striving to get better. All right, looks like the chat is just gonna get on JJ. All right, so that's just like the quick rundown of setting up your watch list. Just like an easy way to do it, an easy way to get started. And I think if you come on, I didn't go over stock charts. So stock charts, there's tons of websites. What you'll get from me is I don't really like talking about stuff I've never done, I've never used, I've never studied. I'll tell you it exists. So like I said, Cheddar Flow, Flow Algo, there's tons of different flow options, flow sites. There's different stock screeners. I don't use stock charts, so I'm not gonna pull it up and try to teach it because I don't use it. You can go to Yahoo Finance and look up screeners. Zacks is a good screener for fundamentals. Or you can just do a Google of stock screening websites, right? But I didn't go over stock charts because I personally don't use it, thus I wouldn't be able to teach you on it.
Y charts, well, Y charts.
Y charts?
Yeah, Y.
Okay, let me go Y. Cool. So that's that. And we're gonna go ahead and start talking about some stop losses. All right. So I'm actually gonna go live on Instagram as well. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. I'm gonna stop this recording. And I'll go ahead and save this recording as a separate recording.